Yeah. What's going on, fam? Back at it with another one. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope all my fam's doing well. Shout out to the copper-colored tribes, also known as the original American, the Aboriginal, the Indigenous, the autochthone. Talking about you. Hope everybody in the tribe's doing well. I hope you dodging stress. I hope you leave them worries alone. I hope you getting in your research when you can. Shout out to all my people sharing the information. I'll be the first to tell y'all, I appreciate what it is that you do. I thank you for uplifting us. And in return, I do the same. Yeah. Shout out to all the tribe, man. Shout out to all the family. We're looking at Hawaii right now. Just thought I'd give us something common to look at, right? I'm gonna vibrate for a bit. 4-3-2 style. Shout out to the fan. A lot of our people worried about what's going on, about what they're hearing in the news. A lot of people, reposting and sharing the nonsense. A lot of talks going on, right? But I gotta be honest, fam. Me, I'm actually excited. Because for the first time, everything's starting to make sense. Watching these revelations come to play, it's amazing, because that lets you know where on the timeline you at. So, yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know, all the fam know out there, if you're doing your best possibility to get back to the Creator, hold them laws, statutes, and commandments, worrying's not for us. So, I hope all the fans doing well. Shalom. All praises to the Most High. Yeah. I just wanted to set the mood right. I'm doing well on my side. I know a lot's going on, but I just want my people to hold their head up. My indigenous autochthones, right? So-called Negro, right? Those are the copper-colored races, right? Just checking. So, I wanted to open this up with all praises to the Most High. All credit due to the Creator. Inspiration and inspired by the tribe. That is you. I want to start off with the scripture, if that's alright, and highlight some things. I hope y'all doing well, man. Let's get into it. Turn this down a bit. And I wanted to bring y'all to Deuteronomy 28, 46. And I just thought that this would be something interesting to highlight. Y'all just follow me. We're gonna start at verse 46, and I'm gonna read to about verse 50. So it says, "And they shall be upon thee for a sign, and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, because thou servest not the Most High thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Most High shall send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he had destroyed thee. The Most High shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. It says, the Most High shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. It says, therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Most High shall send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he hath destroyed thee. Alright. So, I know a lot of people, right? Well, a good chunk of people, I say, they automatically get this guy in mind, right? I know you still refer to him as Jesus, right? I hope not. But yeah, right? So when we're getting on this yoke of iron, right? Jesus and a whole bunch of other things come into mind, right? Like transatlantic slave trades and slave ships. And you know what really stood out to me, fam? That in these days of revelation, right? In these days of truth, right? Where it's at our access, right? At our fingertips, right? All three of these things have not been proven. All three of these things have no evidence, fam, to exist. A lot of us think of the yoke of iron, right? Reading Deuteronomy 28 for the first time, like, seeing this, right? And then all of our research is showing us that it ain't necessarily happened this way, right? We're finding out that roots as a story isn't necessarily true. So, you know how I am, fam. I wonder, right? I question things, right? And we're used to images, right? We're used to images. Right? The iron of yoke, right? Or the yoke of iron, I mean. So, I had to dig on it, right? Let me show you what I found out, fam. Right? Now, you know how we do. I came across this word, right? And it was dealing with Cap Vert. And it says that it is a peninsula in Senegal and the westernmost point of the continent of Africa and of the Old World mainland. Originally called Cabo Verde or Green Cape by Portuguese explorers. It is not to be confused with the Cape Verde Islands, right? Which are further west. It says Cape Verde is a rocky promontory expanding west from the main sandy areas of Senegal. Cape Verde is an excellent harbor facing the Gorée Island. Right? It says it's formed by a combination of volcanic offshore islands and a land bridge produced by coastal currents. It projects into the Atlantic Ocean, bending back to the southeast at its tip. Exposure to southwesterly winds contributes to Cape Verde's seasonal verdant appearance, in contrast to the undulating yellow dunes to the north. Right? And then I seen this pic. Right? And so I was like, all right, let me keep on digging, right? So, let's carry on. This is, Cape Verde, right? It says officially the Republic of Cabo Verde is an island country spanning of the archipelago of 10 volcanic islands in the central Atlantic Ocean. Off the coast of West Africa, the islands cover a combined area of slightly 4,000 square kilometers. It says the Cape Verde archipelago was uninhabited until the 15th century, when the Portuguese explorers discovered and colonized the islands, establishing the first European settlement in the tropics. So they figured this spot right here will be a good storage space for all the so-called slaves, right? According to them. So those are those two, right? The two types of verdes. One's Cap Verde, which is also called Cabo Verde, and the other one's called Cape Verde, also known as Cabo Verde. And they're both dealing in an area toward Africa. One's on this one is the most western peninsula, and this one is further off the coast. So I don't think this one's necessarily touching the continent, as you see, right? It's off, right? Off to the west. So they say this one's the so-called storage place, right? So yeah, y'all can come and check this out, right? So I chose to look up Cape so we can dig on it. And the first one they give us is a hooded cloak, right? It says sea cap. It says sleeveless cloak. All right. The second one says promontory. Right? Now, if you remember from the Locks and Weaves series, right? I told y'all that I came across promontory, right? So, you see why we're back. And, as you see, right, for cape, it says promontory, which means cape, it means head, it means headland, it means head, right? And it says to see capitulum, right? Or capitulum, right? And as you remember, I got thrown off course for the Locks and the Weaves because that took us in a certain direction. So as you'll see with this one, we're going to go in the direction that I was originally looking for, right? So like I told you, I came across this Cape Verde, and I was really intrigued when I found out that we were dealing with promontory being the headland, right? So they said there's another one, the Cape of Good Hope in southern Africa, right? And I said, okay, let's see what we can get out of it. So I came across prominent, right? And it says projecting the jutting out. You guys remember how we got to the jetting, right? And we were dealing with the jetty part. It says prominent, right? To jut or stand out. To be prominent or overhang. Before, forward. Project, jut out. Hill. Then it says to see mount. Right? So check out mount. And for mount, right, it tells us a hill or a mountain. It says mountain here, right? And it says mountain. And then we got mountain again. We got stand out, project. We have to stand out. Then we have nape of the neck. We have necklace. And then we have neck or mane. All right, so nape of the neck, nape, neck. That stood out to me because I'm like, from mountain. But if you really think about a mountain, right, or a so-called mount, I guess it would be in a neck shape, in a sense, if you think about it, right? I don't know. So let's see. I got neck, right? Now this one's dealing with an embrace, right? A caress. And it says to kiss, right? Neck. Alright. This one's talking about neck, right? Nape. Back of the neck, right? Back of the neck, right? It says the nape of the neck, right? It says with no certain cognates outside of Germanic. High point or ridge. Hill, right? So high point ridge. And again, we're talking about neck. And we're dealing on mount. Now I got here from prominent, and I got to prominent from cape. Alright, from promontory. Alright. So nape of the neck. and we got the High Point Ridge, right? This is nape. Nape is dealing with the back of the neck as well. But then from the back of the neck, right, it's interesting how we get switched into goblet, which is the base of the skull. And that to me stood out because that's where things got a little creepy to me, right? I said, what? A goblet from the nape? From the back of the neck, right? But I mean, it's not really that crazy when you think about it, fam, right? And you think about what a goblet is, right? So follow me. It says goblet, right? Large, handleless, crater-shaped drinking vessel for wine. It says goblet, cup. Cup, right? To gulp down. It says to see gob, right? And knowing my info on this subject, right, fam? It already stood out to me on what was going on. If you take the back of the neck, right, in their reference as a goblet, which is the base of the skull, right? And if you turn it upside down, right, it turns into a goblet, right? You turn the skull upside down, right? And it turns into a cup. Now, it would be something very huge to do this, right? Something very abnormal, right? To drink out of a skull, right? It says a crater-shaped drinking vessel for wine. A large handleless, right? Handleless. So, we know how they get with their goblets, right? Now here, we see them using what they call a chalice, right? Or a callus, right? But we know in their origin, at least when they get really ritualistic, right? They tend to use skulls, right? I've seen them use skulls a lot, but I just wanted to stick with the goblet form. And this is a goblet, right? I put goblet of blood, right? And yeah. And they pretty much do this all the time. So you can imagine what they're saying after they conquered you, right? They pretty much drink your blood from the back of your neck, right? Now, I also find that crazy because that's normally where they say the vampire goes too, right? Alright, so, gob. It says, a mouthful, lump, right? Mouth. It says from gobbet, so it deals with the mouth, right? A lump, maybe a bite, right? A good chunk, right? A good bite of something, right? So they took a bite out of something, right? And then they used it as a goblet, right? So, gob from gobbet. And then gobbet is a fragment, right? A piece, a mouthful, right? A mouthful, a lump. It says to go, to swallow down, right? Mouth or beak, right? Now that's interesting because it says beak, right? should sound kind of like familiar to you, but I don't know. I leave for y'all to speculate on that and get back to me. I'm gonna carry on, right? I'm digging with mouth, right? Now, as we start to, see what mouth is, it says to speak, right? And of course, that's where we speak from, right? And it says to blab. Now, I find it interesting how they separated the two, right? To speak and to blab. But I wanted to focus on the noun, right? The mouth, the opening, right? The door gate. All right, so I wanted to focus on the door, the gate, right? We're talking about the opening, right? We're talking about a door, right? We're talking about a gate. All right. So they're separating from their biting, right? Their mouthful, right? Their piece. And now we're getting to a gate, right? Now we're getting to doors, right? Now we're getting into openings. So, we're digging on gate, right? And it says to provide with a gate in an action. All right. Earliest reference to Emerald Bay of Laguna Beach, California. Right? The noun version, gate, door, opening, passage. Right? We got hinged framework barrier. We got opening passage, eye of a needle, right? We got hole, right? We got hole, and then we got opening, right? We got gap, we got hole, and then we got breach, all right? And that's dealing with gate. Gate from mouth, right? The opening, the doorway, right? We're dealing with the gates. Okay. Now, I'm going to continue. This is entrance, right? The act of entering. Sense of door or gate, right? Entrance. So we're talking about the gate being the opening or the entrance, and the mouth being the opening or the doorway. All right. And then this stems from what? The goblet, right? Because somebody was taking they were taking mouthfuls, right? And doing some crazy shit with some goblets, right? What they say was vessels for drinking wine, right? But we know how this secret satanic organization get down. It's very rare they drink wine, right? Especially in goblets, right? And they're talking about beak, right? So I'm talking about the entrance, all right? The opening, the door, the gate. All right, fam? So here's door again. And we're looking at large door, gate. Says door, gate, wicket, right? Right? Says door or gate, a doorway or a gate. So we pretty much know what a door is, right? the opening or the front or the entrance or the mouth of a house, right? Or a room or a building, okay? So to have access, you go through the opening. You walk through the door, right? Through the gate. That is your entrance, right? Your enter point. Here we have collar, right? It says to grab by the collar or neck, right? To capture, right? It says neck armor, right? Gorget, neck collar, right? Necklace, band, or chain for the neck, right? The neck, all right? So the collar symbolizes the neck, right? And it's crazy because that design is how it works for almost everything. This we know, right? But when we're dealing with this breakdown, and it says that he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee, right? You get hit with a collar, right? Which means to capture. So they put something around your neck, right? That prevents you from being you. That prevents your mobility, right? That stops you, right? Mind you, we started out with cape, promontory, right? The head, right? The headland. Right? The nape of the neck from a mount, right? We're talking about a hill or a mountain, right? The neck, right? And it says see collar, right? So when the Most High said he put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, was he really talking about our physical neck as in chains? Right? If we're dealing with mountains and necks, right? Neck means to see collar, so we're looking at collar, right? Where is it at? We're looking at collar, right? And it says neck, right? So it says a band or a chain for the neck as well, right? All right. Here's a yoke, right? Which means to join together, right? It says it is a contrivance, right, for fastening a pair of draft animals, right? A pair of draft animals. Something of heavy burden, oppression, servitude, right? To join, right? Oppression, servitude, right? Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Most High shall send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee. Right? a heavy burden, oppression, right? Servitude, right? I know y'all probably like, where is he going with this, right? But watch. Dig, right? Follow me. So here we got oppress, right? Now oppress is to afflict, to torment, to smother, right? It says to press against, to press together, to press down, figuratively crush, put down, subdued, prosecute relentlessly, to rape, right? To press, to push, right? So we are constantly being pressed, right? Because they forced us into these inner cities, right? They forced us into these societies where they have watch over us, right? Then they group us together and then they snatch the identity, right? And then they turn around and call you minority, right? I want y'all to think about that, right? Because we got that from the yoke, right? And I know a lot of people run to slavery, right? And they automatically think, oh man, this is slavery. But I'm going to show you that I think the Most High had a different meaning, right? So we're going to elaborate. This is press, right? It says crowd, a throng, company, crowding and jostling of a throng, a massing together, throng, crush, crowd, wine or cheese press, right? And then it has the verb, right? To push against, right? To clasp, embrace, to squeeze out, to cluster, gather in a crowd, to press against, exert pressure, also assault, assail, forge ahead, push one's way, move forward, squeeze, press upon torture, to strike, right? To urge, argue, all right? To force into service, engage by loan, pay in advance, to stand out, stand before, fulfill, perform, provide, before, to stand, all right? To be ready, to be available. But I wanted to focus on the clasp, right? I wanted to focus on embrace, from press. Because I feel like these two right here have the most significance and meaning. You don't normally see or think of the so-called pale race embracing you, right? Or do they? See, we're learning that press means to smother you, to join together, right? When they put the yoke on you, right, it was to join together, right? To join. So they joined with you, right? They joined with our ancestors, right? And it made our ancestors look at this, and then our ancestors felt like this was something they needed to be a part of. Through oppression, which pressed them into what? Assimilating, right? To being clasped together, right? And then the white people, or so-called pale people, right, embraced you, right? After they pushed against you, right, to squeeze you out, right? In a cluster, right? And they gathered you in crowds, right? They exerted pressure over you, right? They assaulted you in numbers, right? They pressed you, fam. Class. A metal clutch or hook used to hold things together. right? It says embrace, a hug, right? Bribery, right, of the late 1400s, right? Bribery. So the Pale people embraced you full-fledged, clasped in the arms. See that? They clasped you in the arms, right? Clasped in the arms, covet, handle, cope with. Right? Y'all see that, fam? Fathom, right? It means the length of the outstretched arm. Arms grasp, embrace. And figuratively power. Embrace. Embrace bosom, right? The outstretched arms. A measure of 6 feet, right? To spread out, stretch out. See pace. Right? It says to embrace, to surround, to envelop. To take soundings, right? Get to the bottom of, right? Penetrate with the mind. They wanted to embrace who you were, right? And surround you. Because they believe they are you. Right? So we're checking out pace, right? A step in walking, a rate of motion, a step, a pace, a trace, right? A step, pace, stride, right? And then it says a leaf. Right? And we're talking about peace, right? So they took away your peace, right? By taking away your pace, right? And your way of mobility, right? They forced you into their way of moving things, right? They embraced you, right? With the yoke, right? In the clasp, right? And they pressed you, right? Together. Now here we're dealing with the head, right? It says the top of the body, right? Also the end of a slope. Also chief person. Leader, right? Ruler. Capital city. Right? I mean, the signs is out there, right? You got the bro telling you about the principal city, right? How it got sacked, right? But see, when I first started out, right, we were dealing with promontory. And promontory is the headland, right? Or the head, right? And we're talking about the cape. So if we're talking about cape, then we're talking about headlands. Right? We're talking about the necks, right? So these are references to territory, right, fam? I mean, we're talking about geography, right? See? a chief person, a leader, ruler, capital city, right? So when the Most High said, the yoke is upon thy neck, right? Until he have destroyed thee, right? Your city has been destroyed, right? Your society has been destroyed, right? You have been completely removed out of history. You are nothing, right? No. This is restoration. This is redemption season, fam. This is time to remember. I brought you here to remember that you are the head, fam. You are the chief. You are the leader. You are the ruler of the capital city, fam. They put the yoke on you, but we about to take it off, fam. Leader, right? One who leads, first or most prominent. See how we connected? We back at Cape, right? Promontory. So we're talking about leaders, right? One who leads, most prominent, to guide, conduct. Meaning writing or statement to begin discussion or debate, right? It says it is a title of head of an authorian state. Right? Now what did the fam tell you about the principal city and being the head of the state? Right? Here to hit y'all with these Levitical laws, fam. Right? Because so many people are in fear, but if we just uphold the Most High's commands, fam, we got this. We were already the head before, right? And the Most High said he comes to make things anew, right? He comes to replenish, right? To put us through the fire that we may be refined, right? Isn't this the reason we are copper color, fam? To go through the fire? To come out refined, fam? To be molded as new under him? To not choose any idols? To not place any power before our power? To remember our mother Sarah, which is why they call it Saracens, right? Yeah. Lead, right? To guide. Cause to go with oneself, march at the head of, go before as a guide, accompany and show the way, carry on, sprout forth, bring forth, pass one's life, to travel, to go forth, to be in first place, act the part of a leader. I mean, this is what we're talking about, fam. Right? When the Most High said that he was going to bring a nation from afar, from the end of the earth, swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. They put the yoke of iron upon thy neck. That was your land, fam. You know, I heard a sister today, she dropped an amazing feed, right? The remnant, right? And she was talking about the environment, right? And how it doesn't necessarily mean just the natural resources. It means literally you. I just found that to be, you know, amazing, right? So we're talking about lead, right? Ruler, one who rules, right? The instrument of making straight lines, right? Of course, a ruler, right? From rule. Adjust by rule, control, right? To control by rule, direct, right? Rule, right? To govern by restriction, right? So if we're holding the Most High's commandments, right, that allows us to regulate, right? To rule and control, right? And we rule with His authority, right? According to His principles, right? And by doing so, we become the example on how to move forward, right? We become the leaders, right? You regulate by saying what's correct and what's not correct according to His law, right? And we have that, don't we? So when you regulate, what happens? When you regulate something, it becomes regular. And bam, we right back at ecclesiastical. Shout out to the bro Teach, right? Teach me to be priestly, man. Right? Containing rules for guidance, fam. Moving in a straight line, fam. That means setting aside differences, right? That means checking our head up and focusing on the real prize, right? And that's to stay ready at any cost, right? But it's not to let fear control us. We get scared and want to jump off into everything, fam. Right? But that's not always the wisest move. Alright? Be humble. Be calm. Be still. Take your time. It doesn't matter who's going in which direction, right? As long as we move together in a straight line, right? Under Mosaic law, right? To be of the weight of the Most High, right? To uphold His traditions and customs, right? That's regular, isn't it, fam? Isn't that regular? Now they've completely removed regular from us, right? By throwing that yoke of iron upon thy neck, right? Did they not come in nakedness? Were they not thirsty? Were they not hungry? Did they not have the first feast with the American Indian that they called the Thanksgiving? Did they not show favor to the young nor the old? Think about it, fam. We're dealing with port, right? It says to carry, right? Port means what? Gateway, portal, door, gate, entrance. You see how we're back to port, fam? You see how we're back to entrance, right? We're dealing with what? We're dealing with the cape. We're dealing with the head, right? The headland. So when we see these capes, right? That's a reference for us, isn't it? Right? Port, right? doorway, gate, and entrance, right? It says a portal is a gate, a gateway, right? A gate. City gate, a porch. A porch, fam? A porch. A porch. Yeah. You know what gate is, right? Harbor. A lodging for ships, right? Sheltered recess in a coastline. It says a temporary dwelling place. Quarters for lodging. An inn. The camp of an army in the field. Alright? Protection. Shelter. Protection. Shelter. Protection. Shelter. Harbors meant temporary dwelling places for protection and shelter. A harbor. That's what that signal was for, right? So if you were over there on seas and you got caught up, right, and you needed a spot of so-called refuge, right, you had these spots to look for, right, while you were at sea, right? I mean, I don't know, I'm not a voyager, but this is what would make sense to me. So yeah, as we carry on, you know, it's a trip to notice certain things, right? Here's bay. It says an inlet of the sea, right? It says opening in a wall, right? Opening, hole or gulf, right? To gape or yawn, right? And it says gate, right? An opening in the wall, right? Or a gulf, right? And here's gulf, a profound depth, right? A gulf or a whirlpool, right? A gulf or bay, right? Originally bosom. I mean, we're talking about geography, fam, right? And they embraced you, right? They took away your what? Your harbor, your safe haven, right? By putting the yoke on you, right? On your neck. And we're learning that the neck means what? Headlands and bays. Headlands and bays are two related coastal features. Headlands and bays are often found on the same coastline. Alright, so we're talking about geology and geography. Headlands, fam. Which I got from Cape. All praises to the Most High, right? Now for everybody in the tribe that knew this, that already know this, you know, shouts out to you. We would love for you to expand on the information, give us your details, your insight. Pictures of bay, right? Now check out the spots, man. Alright? Just look at them, right? You see why we got the 432 sounds in the back, right? Shout out to the fam, right? Yeah. This is you, fam. Right? And it's ironic because didn't this Black Panther party come out from the Bay? A little side note, right? Message. Peninsula. Right? It means almost island. It's almost an island. It's a piece of land surrounded by water on the majority of its border while being connected to a mainland from which it extends out. Examples include the upper and lower peninsulas of the state of Michigan. The example. Upper and lower though. Keep this in mind, right? Upper and lower should always let you know that it's in reference to what? Peninsulas. Geography. Alright. Says that surrounding water is usually understood to be continuous, though not necessarily named as a single body of water. Peninsulas are not always named as such. One can also be a headland, cape, island, promontory, bill point, or spit. All these things are land references, fam. Alright? They're land references. Right? Peninsula. And again, look at where they're taking us, right? Hope everybody's out there doing well, fam. Hope your energy's great. I hope you charged up. Yeah. Right. This is the Cape, right? It says in geography, a cape is a headland or a promontory of large size extending into a body of water, usually the sea. The cape usually represents a marked change in trend of the coastline. The proximity to the coastline makes them prone to natural forms of erosion, mainly tidal actions. It says this results in capes having a relatively short geologic lifespan. Capes can be formed by glaciers, volcanoes, and changes in sea level. Erosion plays a large role in each of these methods of formation. Cape, right? And these are the this is for the Cape geography, right? Now most of these are CGI, but I mean, we want to get what we can, right? just makes me wonder, because if these are capes, right, fam, and that's what they're telling us, what are these? Seems to me, right, if this is the cloak, right, that goes around the neck, right, I mean, this is what they have us suffocated with, right? Just made me wonder, what the hell is a cape, right? But anyway, fam, promontory, right? A promontory is a raised mass of land that projects into a lowland or a body of water, which case it is a peninsula, right? Most promontories either are formed from a hard ridge of rock that has resisted the erosive forces that have removed the softer rock to the sides of it, or are the high ground that remains between two river valleys where they form confluence. It says throughout history, many forts and castles have been built on promontories because of their inherent defensibility. Their inherent defensibility. The promontory forts in Ireland are examples of this. Alright? Forts and castles. Now the natives were known for being fortified. Right? They had cities of fortresses. And if you didn't know, check out the presentation, the Levitical cities, the Garden of Indians. Right? We'll go into that, right? Promontory. Again, right? Check it out. Right? This is the Itma, right? The Itmas, right? Itmas, right? It means what? Neck. Y'all see that with me, fam? Neck. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Most High shall send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee. It says it is a narrow piece of land connecting two larger areas across an expanse of water that otherwise separates them. A tombolo is an isthmus that consists of a spit or bar, and a strait is the sea counterpart of an isthmus. For example, talking about the neck, right, fam? Geography points, right, fam? Greece, Panama, Central America, South America, ancient Greece, Mexico. Let's stop playing, fam. Yeah. This is for my fam, you know, shout out to the tribe. Copper color races, indigenous fam all across the plain. Yeah. You waking up, you know, I'm tired of snoring, tired of drooling, right? You got that dry spit on your hand for too long, right? I won't tell nobody else. Here we have the Chumash people, fam. The Chumash people. Right? It says the Chumash are Native American people who historically inhabited the central and southern coastal regions of California and portions of what is now San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, Ventura, and Los Angeles counties extended from Morro Bay in the north to Malibu in the south. They also occupied 3 of the Channel Islands, Santa Cruz, Santa Rosa, and San Miguel. The smaller island of Anacapaca was likely inhabited seasonally due to the lack of consistent water source. Alright. Alright, so it says that they were known to have lived along the coast of California for at least 13,000 years, right? It says the first settlement started over 13,000 years ago near the Santa Barbara coast. It says the name Chumash means bead maker or seashell people. My bad. Right? It says that they originated near the Santa Barbara coast, right? That's where they came from, right? Let's see, we also got something else that we wanted out of this. Notice this name, right? It says the Chumash were hunter-gatherers, right? And were adept at fishing, right? Keep that name in mind, right? It says the history, right? Before Spanish contact. It says archaeological evidence of Native American presence in what were later the Chumash lands date to at least 11,000 years before the present, right? And then they want to say in between here, right? And it says right here that some researchers believe that the Chumash may have been visited by Polynesians between 400 and 800 AD, nearly 1,000 years before Christopher Columbus reached the Americas. Although the concept is rejected by most archaeologists who work with the Chumash culture, and this contact has left no genetic legacy, others have given the idea greater plausibility. Alright? It says the Chumash advanced sewn plank canoe design used throughout the Polynesian islands but unknown in North America except by those two tribes is cited as the chief evidence for contact. So they said that the Chumash have an advanced sewn plank canoe design that the Polynesians used. But supposedly this is unknown to North America, right? This is what they're saying, right? But they had contact with the Polynesians, right? So I'm not going to necessarily give the credit to the so-called Polynesians, but I'm going to give credit to the area. Alright? And I got my reasons for that. I'm sure y'all understand. We'll be able to present evidence why in the next installment. But I want y'all to see, right? Now, the Chumash stuck out to me because they have this time period right here, right? And when we deal with Lucia, right? She was of the Upper Paleolithic, right? She was a Paleo-Indian, right? An ancient, right? And we already know from the last presentation, right, that she was found in Brazil, right? And they're saying that let's see, where is it at? Right here, right? So it's about the same time, right? 11,000, right? Before present time. 11,000 years before present time. Right? And then we see right here, they're way at the bottom, right? Near Mexico, right? Way down here. Feel me? So it seemed like the same time they got here, right? And it also says that Lucia had features of those in this region, right? And that will basically be about the same as the so-called Polynesians, right? Especially if we're talking about 10,000 years before Columbus reached the Americas, right? Keep that in mind, fam. Alright? So, and California also had a medieval warm period, right? Which is crazy because, look, let's check this out, right? It says the medieval warm period, right, or climate optimum or medieval climatic anomaly was a time of warm climate in North Atlantic region that may have also been related to other climate events around the world during that time, including China. In other areas lasting from about 950 to 1250. It was followed by a cooler period in the North Atlantic and elsewhere termed the Little Ice Age. Alright? So, keep that in mind too, right? Let's see if we get back. Where was we at with it? Alright, so yeah, we're talking about 11,000 years ago, right? So that's why I linked it up, and they said that they were also connected with the Polynesians, right? And so research showed that the Polynesians and the Malaysians and the Southeast Asians were all hooked up. Alright, but I don't know if I want to go ahead and throw the full term Polynesian on there, you know, digging on who the Polynesians really are. Right? Now, also wanted you guys to keep in mind that when it comes to these Southeast Asians, right, the pure ones look just like this. And I don't know, I just find it interesting that it may be a shock that most of these folk find these people being of the original people of so-called Africa. At least phenotypically, right? Instead of it being the other way around. This is what the gist seems to be, right? But we'll say that for another time. So yeah, fam, we're gonna go ahead and continue. And before I go into that, I want to show y'all something. Alright. Show you about some Manic people. Alright. It says the Manic are an ethnic group of Thailand. They are the only Negrito group in Thailand and speak Manic, also called Tonga. Alright, so yeah, man, if y'all got some time, you know, go ahead and check out the Manak people, right? Now, mind you, it said over here, right, when we were dealing with the Chumash, right, that the Chumash came, where was it? Where do we see it? Oh, this happens to me a lot. Well, you know, I'm searching for the little Tongan connection we made, right? Let me see if I can find it one more time. It has slipped away from us, fam. But you know what? You know what I was referring to anyway. Oh, right here. Bam. Cool, right? Right there. So you see this? It says the Tonga, right? They don't want to give it to us, but that's what I came across, right? The Manak, right? Now, this particular group got pushed over into Thailand. They're not originally from there. Alright? These are the Semangs. Alright? They are also a Negrito group of the Malay Peninsula. Alright? Now it says they belong to this group called the Orang Asli, right? Asli, right? That's what the group they belong to, right? So keep in mind that these are quote unquote Afro-Asians, right? You see how they got them off in the jungle like that? Right? And they look like what they would resemble what we call so-called Africans, right? These are all so-called negritos that got pushed out. They've been driven out, right? And they still look like this, right? We got the Batek people, right? Right? And they push them up in the trees and stuff, right? It says traditional territories of select Orang Asli Aboriginal societies, right? The Samai, the Batak, and the Kiwam, right? And that's it. And that's all they got to work with out of all of this, right? Notice how in here, right, it says pagan races of the Malay Peninsula, right? Pagan races. So keep that in mind, fam. Pagan. I found that crazy, right? Pagan, right? Yeah, so here's another group. They're called the Lano people, right? It says the Lano are a group classified as the Orang Asli, right? The original people, right? The Lano were once nomadic, but many of them now live in permanent villages, right? It says, following European contact, the Lano were hunter-gatherers using caves. Approximately 100 years ago, right? So they said that these guys were using caves, right? Now you don't see anything about them being Negrito people here, right? No Negrito mention, right? No mentions of them being Negritos, right? So I found that funny because when we go to the next one, it says the original people, right? And we click on the next joint, it says the Orang Asli, right? The natural or original people or Aboriginal people. And these are the faces we get, right? These are the faces. And I'm like, man, fam, they always wouldn't get us, right? But now I notice the problem is that the so-called pale people or these people, she looks like she might be a mulatto of some sort, right? But they replace these folk. Right? Just want y'all to keep that in mind, right? See how the Negritos get pushed out? It was nothing but Negroes and then bam, right? Slowly it got depleted, right? So that's what we dealing with, fam. Alright? Now I wanted to show y'all this because I'm starting to see a little contact, right? If the Chumash, right, are designing boats, right, and they're going and having contact, right, and they're meeting off in this area, right, and they're all hooked up, right, it wouldn't be too off if these people over here were hooking up with these people, right, and then they were all in the region together, right? importing different things, right? Trading, right? All of the sorts, right? Right here, right? And then on this side of South America, right, you got all this activity right here, right? Connecting this in. So if we know this is our territory, right, dealing with pretty much this end of the map from here down, right, seems like we got our little naval, our Navy, right? Just to keep in mind, fam, on why they hit us with the maritime law, right? And why they cracked down on us, right? Alright, so we're gonna get ready to ride out, fam. Close it out for you. I hope y'all found this informative, man. I hope the tribe's doing well. Y'all see what time it is, you feel me? Y'all see what day it is. It's current, it's accurate. I did this for the tribe. Let me know what y'all think. You know, thanks to all the new subscribers. Thanks to everybody that's been a part of this. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate everything y'all doing. And yeah, I just want y'all to, you know, ride out one time, alright? So yeah, we gonna fair use this. And we're gonna let them know.
Polynesia, 1000 AD, 492 years before Columbus. Elsewhere in the world, China is inventing gunpowder, and a very important journey by Norsemen and parents is taking place in the North Atlantic. In Polynesia, explorers are in the midst of settling the Marquesas and Hawaiian Islands, but do they also sail like the stars to North and South America?
Ancient Polynesians as voyagers, well, they're the best. We know that they reached every distant island in the Pacific, and they did it in a short amount of time.
Spread out over more than 7 million square miles of ocean, Polynesia covers more area than any nation in the world. There are 1,000 islands, and by 1380 AD, Polynesian voyagers managed to travel to and colonize all of them.
Polynesia, biggest nation on earth, bigger than Russia, 600 times more water than there is land. We would argue that the Polynesians were the only culture that were purposely voyaging, exploring, and navigating the largest ocean on earth at a time when other cultures weren't. If you look at world maritime history and you ask who the most successful navigators are, the most successful types of ships, very few people would give you the correct answer, which is the Polynesian seagoing canoe and Polynesian navigators.
Polynesian voyaging canoes, or tepuques, were up to 60 feet long. Their double hulls were made from logs of the koa tree, hollowed out by a traditional tool called an adze, or made from smaller wooden planks sewn together. Their crab-claw sails were woven together out of lauhala leaves, and some 1,500 feet of hand-wound coconut fibers were used for lashings.
We believe, with an awful lot of research, is kind of a design accurate replica of the deep-sea voyaging canoes. That was the main tool that was used to explore and colonize all of Polynesia.
This is the hokulea, built using some of those ancient specifications. It does have a modern sail and other modern touches, but the basic hull design is the same.
At the time that Hokulea was being constructed, there was no other physical deep-sea voyaging canoe on Earth. And so it had to be reconstructed from both modern science as well as culture and oral histories.
The Polynesian Voyaging Society first launched the hokulea in the 1970s to challenge the idea that Polynesia was settled from east to west by the Inca from South America. That theory was first proposed by notable adventurer Thor Heyerdahl in the 1940s, who suggested statues like these on Easter Island were Incan in origin. To help prove the voyage was possible, he built and successfully sailed his own raft, called the Kontiki, from South America to the Tuamotu Islands in Polynesia in 1947. Even though the sail was successful, academics balked at his theory.
The South Americans aren't known for having seaworthy canoes or for having high voyaging capabilities, so it really makes more sense that the Polynesians made it to South America.
Polynesians were able to island hop across the Pacific because they knew what to take with them to survive, like plants and chickens. Chickens they may have introduced to South America.
We have a very good case for chickens moving from Polynesia to South America. Well, the discovery of chicken bones from Chile has turned out to be very exciting.
When these chicken bones with Polynesian traits were unearthed in South America, they were immediately controversial. While many scientists originally thought chickens were introduced to South America by Spanish explorers in the 1500s, the radiocarbon date of these bones would prove otherwise. They're pre-Columbian.
Polynesians made it to South America, probably dropped off chicken while they were there, picked up the sweet potato, and then made the two-way voyage back to Polynesia.
Sweet potatoes are not believed to be native to Polynesia, but they are native to South America, a possible clue.
The sweet potatoes are these low, viney plants, and you can see that they're flowering here.
Studies on charred sweet potato remains found in Polynesia suggest the plant was introduced to the islands in pre-Columbian times.
Sweet potato is an American plant. It has wild populations in Central and South America. It was domesticated by Native Americans thousands of years ago.
We knew that sweet potato had been introduced from somewhere else. The linguistic name for sweet potato, kumara, is not a Polynesian word, and linguists had looked for a long time to find out where the word kumara came from, and it's actually been linked to an Ecuadorian tribe that are intensive sweet potato producers.
It is absolutely certain that we have pre-Columbian sweet potato, pre-European sweet potato in Polynesia, and that it was transferred by people, not by floating or by birds, because you don't get the word traveling with the potato. It's not face-to-face transfer of sweet potato.
There's even evidence that Polynesians made it farther north, to what would become the United States. Near Santa Barbara, California, a tribe called the Chumash has been building this type of sole plank canoe since at least 1000 AD, calling it a tomolo'o. Linguists say that's how the Chumash would have pronounced the eastern central Polynesian word for the same boat, one they call a tu'ura'au.
They would have trouble pronouncing that and would come out tomolo'o. That's very normal, regular in Chumash.
The Chumash are thought to have started using the word tomolo'o sometime between 500 and 1200 AD, but it's more than the word for this canoe that's important. It's also the canoe itself, which has a design that turns out to be rare, very rare.
Once the planks were created, there would be holes drilled. We'd have holes on opposing edges of the planks, and then they were sewn together using this vegetable product-based cordage. That's now common technology throughout all of Polynesia, and it's only seen in two places in the entire native New World: the coast of Southern California and the coast of Chile.
Common words, common engineering, and there's more. Fish hooks. This is Dr. Yosakiko Shinoto, a veritable expert on fish hooks who studied them all over the Pacific. He has a collection of primitive fish hooks found off Catalina Island near Los Angeles.
Looks like shapes close some of the late Tahitian type.
The Catalina fish hooks seem to match fish hooks made in Tahiti around 1000 AD. Fishing for food is one way they could have survived a 4,000-mile voyage from the center of Polynesia to California. But what do Dr. Maximenko's maps of ocean currents say about all of this?
For a Polynesian voyage from Cook Islands to Santa Barbara area in California, the path would require nearly 300 days. That voyage would imply a lot of paddling, and if they were